Teachers, welcome to another video from the series in 10 minutes or less. As you know, if you've watched a previous video in this series, I try to cover the basic operation of a technology product in 10 minutes or less. You probably could have also guessed that just by reading the title, even if you'd not watched another video in the series. In today's video, I will be covering Microsoft OneNote. Before I jump into the actual nuts and bolts of how Microsoft OneNote functions, I would like to take just a little bit of time to explain OneNote, what it entails, and how it functions in a school environment, particularly here at Greencastle Community Schools. On the left, you can see I have the overall product here of Microsoft OneNote. OneNote really is two products in one. It is OneNote that can be a standalone product, which will be the discussion point of today's video, or it can be OneNote class notebook in which you can distribute information to an entire class. OneNote, as it is shown here today, is primarily designed to be a note-taking application for use by a person, such as a teacher or a student, to take notes for a class and use it to organize their material. It certainly can be shared with other people and there can be collaboration, but not necessarily to the level of where you have the entire class collaborating. That will be shown in OneNote class notebook. In order to use OneNote class notebook, you have to know and understand and use OneNote. So that's why I feel that it is important that I cover OneNote first before I jump into the OneNote class notebook. So while they are essentially the same product and just two different avenues of how the product is used, I feel it is important to cover OneNote. If there's any questions on that, please feel free to contact me before you go on, but otherwise we're going to go ahead and jump into the actual operation of OneNote. Look for the OneNote class notebook video sometime in the near future. One of the things that teachers often find daunting or confusing about OneNote is the fact that there are multiple versions of OneNote on a device. For example, right now I'm on the student Windows 10 Back Atlas device, and if I were to look in the Start menu under the O's, there are two versions of OneNote. There's OneNote and there's OneNote 2016. OneNote without the year is the app that comes installed on the device, and OneNote 2016 is the full version. And there is some difference in those, and I will show you those in just a minute. And then additionally, in addition to those two, there's a third way you can access OneNote, and that is through OneNote Online, which is available through the Microsoft Office 365 portal through our school accounts. So you have essentially three ways that you can navigate to OneNote. And if you look here, I have the online version, and I have the app version, and I have the full version all open on my computer at the same time, and you will notice they all show the same information. They will all sync between each other. Changes you make in one will show in the other. There's different levels of functionality though between the multiple versions, and I always encourage people to use the full version if at all possible. Obviously, if that's not possible, you may need to use the other version at some point. That is understandable. The second best version, I think, is the online version, because here you can make quick changes and you always have the option to actually open in OneNote right there, and that should open in the full version of OneNote, not in the app. The app I feel is the third option that you would only use if you absolutely had to. So the full version or the online version I think are very good. The app may be the third best version. And notice the layout is a little bit different. So on the app and on the online version you have tabs over here looking a little bit different than the way they look on the full version. So just a little bit different look in how they lay out. They all have the exact same information. So that can be confusing to people, but hopefully by knowing that you use the full version as much as you can, and then the online version, and then probably the app version the least, that should also hopefully be helpful. Also, there are apps that you could put on your phone or your tablet if you are inclined to add those sort of apps to your personal phone or to your personal tablet so that you can manage some school things from home. Those are also an option. Again, they look different, but they function the exact same. Any changes you make in one will be reflected in the other. Welcome back. You probably noticed in this section of the video I have moved back to the teacher laptop for the explanation of Microsoft OneNote. Before I jump into that explanation, there are a couple of things that I would like to cover, actually three things that I would like to cover. First, I often get the question, what is Microsoft OneNote? I like to tell people it's like the multi-tab notebook that I had in high school and that you probably had in high school before one-to-one technology was prevalent. You had a notebook, it had pockets, and it had pages, and you could organize each section. So I had a section for geometry and a section for biology and a section for world history or whatever the case may be, and each of those sections had folders, and they also had notes, a notebook paper that you could write on and you could take notes with. So essentially Microsoft OneNote is the modern version of that, very useful for teachers in a lot of ways. It allows you to create tabs, as many as you want, and it allows you to create as many pages as you want within those tabs. The second thing I would like to point out, on the teacher laptop, which is still a Windows 7 laptop for most teachers here at Greencastle Community Schools, you may have two versions of Microsoft OneNote. There is OneNote 2013, but you should have OneNote 2016. And if I search for OneNote, notice that I have both. I really need to be using OneNote 2016. If you have OneNote 2013, please make sure that you contact tech support and you install the most current version if you are unfamiliar with how to do that yourself. The third thing that I would like to mention is that this video is designed as a 10-minute overview, and by no way can I give you a full overview of Microsoft OneNote in 10 minutes. This is just designed to be an introductory lesson that gets you started, and then you take off and explore on your own. Hopefully, if time allows, I'll make a more advanced video later on, or certainly I'll be able to answer questions individually if you have those. But by no means am I going to be able to explain this vast program in 10 minutes, but I'm going to hopefully give you enough to get started. Okay, now that we have that introductory information out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into some of the nuts and bolts that make Microsoft OneNote unique and make it work for teachers. At the top right here, you will see that you have the quick access toolbar. At any point you can customize that. Probably not something you want to do right now, but once you start using Microsoft OneNote, you may find that you want to add more commands there. And if you click the down arrow here, you can see that there are a number of commands that you can choose from, and you can even go to more commands, and those commands will appear up here in the quick access toolbar. Below that, we have the ribbon, which is common in all Microsoft Office products, starting with File, which actually takes you to a slightly separate menu, and then Home, Insert, Draw, History, Review, and View. And I will be talking about most of those when I create an example page and section here in just a few minutes, or section and then pages actually, here in a few minutes. The ribbon has multiple ways to be viewed. If you click this arrow right here, you can collapse the ribbon. And if you want to get the ribbon back, you can click the option right here, and you can click Show Tabs and Commands, and then you have the version that was shown when we opened the program. But if you wanted to hide that so that only the commands were showing, you can have them drop down when you are ready to select one. That is entirely up to you, just different ways of viewing the commands that are available. Notice right here my name is showing. That means that I am signed in. Very important feature. This allows me to then have the OneNote associated with my account, and will also later on allow me to share. That is not sharing with students, don't get confused. That is class notebooks, which is a separate add-in as part of OneNote. So don't get that confused, but that does allow you to share with other teachers or other people that you would like to collaborate. So that is an important feature to make sure that you are signed in. Okay, now that you know the basic commands, let's go ahead and just jump in and create a new section, and I will show you some of the features. So you can see here, this is my notebook that that's just the default that was created with my school account. If I right click on that and I go to properties, I can change some of that. So if I don't want to say Charles at Greencastle Community Schools, if I just wanted to say CJ's notebook, or I wanted to say my school notebook, I could change the name of that if I wanted to. I can also change the color of the notebook, and I can change the location, though I wouldn't recommend moving that out of your OneDrive. I would keep that in your school OneDrive so that there are not any problems, because that can cause problems if you move that, if you've done a significant amount of work. But if you want to change the way it's displayed or the color, certainly feel free to do that. You can see I have just a couple of tabs here for some videos I jotted down that I wanted to create in a conference call that I had with Microsoft a few weeks ago. If I want to create a new section, in the full version, I'm just going to click the plus section right here. I'm going to give it a name. In this case, I'll just call it Example for Video. And now I have that section created. Notice that I have now the ability to add pages over here. I have currently an untitled page. I can title that page one of two ways. I can right click and I can click Rename, or I can type the name of the page right here. So if I want to call this first page, just very unoriginal, I can simply type that in right there. And it tells me when the page was created and what time it was created. Going back up to the ribbon commands, notice that I have all the options to do various different things. I can type, I can add different headings. I'll talk about the tags later on. A lot of times people will want to start off and they will want to insert something. Before you even do that though, what I would recommend is, you notice back on this page, it looks like a yellow legal pad. Hopefully that shows up in the screen recording anyway. You can have different styles of paper, and this comes in very handy for different classes. So if you go to View and then you go to Rule Line, you can choose if you want a college rule or a narrow rule or a wide rule, and you can also do grid paper. So if you have a math class and you want to have a grid paper, you can do that. And you can also choose the color of paper that you want. So there are lots of options there. I like to have it the line paper. I just like that to have a little bit of reference as to where I'm going to be writing, and I like to have the page have a little bit of color. So I tend to do that. Again, that's entirely a personal preference, but you can have that however you want. It just makes me feel a little bit more like an actual notebook in the way that I'm using it, but those options are there if you want them, just so you know. So let's say I'm going to take some notes here and I want to insert something. One of the most common questions I get is, what is the difference between file printout and file attachment? File attachment is just like you would attach a file to an email. It's simply going to put a link there. So I'm going to grab one just to show you. I don't have a lot of files on my computer, but I'll go in here to my OneDrive account, and I'm just going to do this capture 4. So notice if I do the file attachment, it's just going to literally put a link to that file. I would have to double click on that file. I would have to open it. It's just an attachment, just like an email attachment would be. If I click down here someplace else and I want to insert a file printout, I'll do the exact same file again, capture 4. And I go to insert. Now notice that that file is in it's in like the actual picture that it is. So I don't have to click on anything. It's already basically embedded within my notes, and I have now the ability to click on that. I can resize it. I can manipulate that. I can move it if I want wherever I would like, and I can do various or complete various operations for that. I see that I either accidentally clicked capture 4 twice or brought in something extra, so I'm going to delete that. And now I can have this right here. And let's say that I want to make a note about this. One of the great things about OneNote is that you're not bound by any linear constraints. So if I just want to type right over here on this line, I can just double click right there and I can put, this is a reminder to create instructions for Impero. If I could type. And just like most of the Microsoft products, if I right-click there, I have then the ability to change my spelling. So going back to home, going back to draw, I can highlight items on this or circle items or do whatever I want or draw spaces. So let's say that I want to highlight something in yellow. So right here, this feature allows you to transmit a message to the user, and I want people to be able to know that. I can highlight that. And if I want to circle something in red, like knowing that it's for my name, I can do that. Be aware, though, that you are just drawing on top of this item. So once you have done that, if you were to move this picture, the drawings will not move with that, but you can always undo that very, very easily. And if you're on the student device, once the inking pen has been used, then the students will not be able to move the device while they are inking. Once they stop inking, though, of course, they can erase or move the picture that is behind that. You have the eraser here, so you have the ability to erase items. You can insert, in addition to the picture or the file, you can insert audio, you can insert video, you can insert a link to any website, you can insert online video, you can search for pictures. One of the nice things I like about this is it will automatically just search the Creative Commons. So let's say that I wanted to search for a grizzly bear. It's going to search the Creative Commons only for a grizzly bear. So I know that the pictures that are here are ones that are able to be used. And again, notice that I can put that picture in, and I can then manipulate that picture and resize it. I can move it wherever I would like. I can add text to that. I can type on it. I can do whatever I would like. Essentially, it's my notebook. I can create it however I would like. And if I'm ready for another page, I just click add a page over here. I now have a second page. I can give it a name. Some really neat things you can do. Jumping back over to some of the pages I've already created just to speed things up. So I have a note here from the Microsoft conference call to look into the Microsoft Innovative Educators Program. So let's say that I want to remember that. I can go back to home and I can give this a tag. So I can put idea right there. So now the idea is right next to that note that I have created about the Microsoft Innovative Educator. And let's say I'm back over here on the example for the video and I'm going to put something on my grizzly bear and I'm getting ready to caption it, and all of a sudden I think, oh, I really need to remember where was that tag. So I can just go to find tags, and right now I only have one tag because it's idea, so it's really easy to find. But if I click right there, it's going to jump back over to where I was in the OneNote. So tags, super useful for students. I would strongly encourage you to encourage students to use them. So you can put any number of these tags on there so that it's things that they need to remember, things they need to, people they need to contact, questions they need to ask, all sorts of things that people can add, students can add in there. And when you're done with the tag, you can click remove tag. So that is a great feature, I think, of OneNote, is the ability to tag and very easily ability to find tags within the OneNote program itself. Just one more thing I'm going to show you to try to keep it under this 10-minute guideline. I'm not sure that I'll get there, but if you go back to File, so if you go back to File right here on the ribbon, you have the ability to invite people to this notebook, so you can invite them as collaborators so that other people can collaborate on the notebook with you if you would like. So now you notice right now I'm the only person that's allowed to edit this notebook, but I can give that person editing privileges or viewing privileges. Again, this is not the student sharing, that is class notebook. So there will be a later video on that. Don't confuse that with class notebook. But let's say that the science department wants to have a notebook that they use collaboratively for planning. Someone in the department could set that up and then give the other team members viewing privileges so that you can all view the notebook, or give them editing privileges so you all have a section in the notebook that you can edit. That's the very basic, bare bones introduction to OneNote. Again, much more you can do with this program, but hopefully by giving you that basic information, you will be able to go out and explore and learn how OneNote can be useful for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I will be happy to help you, but I would like to see OneNote really become an integrated part of our technology here at Greencastle Community Schools.